Welcome to episode 5 of the Fitness Devil You Know podcast. I'm Andrew Coates, my co-host Dean Guido here. And today's episode, we got really lucky, and our friend Jay Ashman from Kansas City joins us to talk about his Facebook group, Pump, Dump, and Hump. We'll explain as we get in there, and how that community is a powerful tool to help people with their fitness, nutrition, and other concerns.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay, everybody, welcome to episode, what we hope is number 5 of the Fitness Devil You Know podcast. Today we got a really cool guest, our good friend Jay Ashman, who's down in Kansas City. So it's our first American guest in all this mix. And he is the owner of a website and Facebook group called Pump, Dump, and Hump. So welcome, Jay.
How you doing?
Fantastic, my friend.
And I want to touch on, he's not just the owner of Pump, Dump, and Hump. Like, you have Ashman Strength. He works as a trainer, a bunch of other stuff, which we'll touch on. But it's not just Pump, Dump, and Hump, because people are probably like, what the fuck is that?
Used to compete, play competitive rugby, strongman, former gym, I guess manager, director of personal training in different gyms. So you've got a pretty extensive career in athletics and the fitness industry. So Let's dive right into it. So, Jay, would you tell us a little bit about your path leading into a career in fitness, and what's led you right now to having Pump, Dump, and Hump?
Well, definitely. I started off, probably went to a seminar back in 1998, 99. It's a long time ago. It was actually in Atlantic City. And so I was trying to get my certification. So it was AAAI IMSA. Or ISMA, forgot how that goes. So essentially a weekend seminar in Atlantic City. You set in for classes all weekend, and then they take a test on Sunday, and you have to train one of the trainers. So it was actually pretty cool. It wasn't just an online cert. You had to be there and actually attend classes and take a physical test and train somebody. So it was legitimate. So I started off working for Gold's Gym. As I just kind of I liked the gym so much, I kind of wanted to get into it. And I remember stuff back in high school, writing down workouts in my notebook and having an idea of what I wanted to do. I was always into writing programs, whether it was football plays or workout programs. Just something I kind of did. I don't know, and I kind of just fell into it. And I kind of grew from there. I did it part-time for a while, did it full-time for a little bit, went back to part-time. And so I've been back and forth until I decided to just make the full-time jump.
All the part-time stuff while you're more active in your athletic career?
Mostly athletic career. Well, I work at a job. I mean, I was an electrician for a long time in the East Coast, union electrician. And so I did it part-time at nighttime or on the weekend. And if I got laid off, I went to it full-time, just pay the bills. So kind of sporadically went back and forth until I decided to make the jump into a full-time. And
well, just to touch on this, what timeline-wise, because we kind of breezed over the athletics, but you played professional rugby, and I'm not going to say this is your biggest accomplishment, but probably something that you're most proud of. But you had a tryout for NFL team. So where did all this fit in terms of, I guess, getting into the fitness journey? Because, I mean, the NFL, if you put that in front of anything, people will be like, man, this guy's legit. He's banging with some of the best dudes in the world. Yeah. That might qualify you.
Back in 1998, I had a workout for the Browns when they came back to Cleveland. When they moved to Baltimore, and so I got the franchise back to Cleveland. So they had some workouts. Now, I played a little bit of ball in college, and I was a pretty big dude, and I was fast and could move well. So a buddy of mine who played football for the American World League over in Barcelona, he got me a tryout. And so I went in. I did really well. And the problem was that I played linebacker when I played. So I was a lot smaller and kind of more mobile. So being I was 305 pounds by this point.
Jesus.
I couldn't play linebacker. I'm playing down lineman. So going from a stand-up position to a three-point stance position in defense is a whole different ballgame. It's a complete different level of play. So having to go from reactive to immediately taking the attack is a whole different world. So I didn't make a team. My play wasn't that great because I was obviously in a new position. They even said to me, look, your physical skills are there, but the fact of the matter is that you're so raw at this position, we can't take a chance.
Yeah. Well,
which I understand. It's completely business, but you know what? I got invited. I gave it a shot. I had good stats. I decided to move on. I think I give one shot. If I didn't make it, I don't make it. I move.
Put it on your
no regrets.
And put it on your resume. Like, that's the first thing
Yeah,
I'm putting on.
it really doesn't mean much in the scheme of things, but it was kind of cool to do it.
Yeah.
And then I, started playing rugby shortly thereafter.
Oh, that was after. I thought you played rugby. Okay, sweet.
No, I stopped playing rugby in 2008.
Jesus.
I love stories like all this because a lot of the people who are listening to this are probably, there's some trainers, there's definitely a lot of fitness enthusiasts. And I mean, how many people do we all know over the years who had a regular job like an electrician? I mean, Guido here, he was working as a teacher for however many years, and he switched over to the industry not all that long ago. I like this in that if someone really feels like, hey, that I would be passionate about that, I feel like I could do well with this, it invites the confidence to maybe give it a shot, because this industry, as we know, there's a lot of really incredible people, but there's also a lot of stuff that maybe a lot of people shouldn't be in the industry. And the more good people who care, who will actually work hard to help people that are here, the better we all are as a result. So I love these kind of stories.
Yeah. Well, for me, I always look at people saying, like, Dean was a teacher. He's a fit for the business because he can actually talk in front of a crowd. He can present information. He has that experience to talk to somebody and teach. That is transferable to coaching.
Absolutely.
Now, me, I wore many hats in my life. I attended a bar for a while as well, for a little bit back in college. So work with people and learning how to talk to people and deal with the public is kind of critical for this business. I mean, you have somebody who is in the fitness industry, and they're in front of people talking. They have to be able to lead a crowd and have enough confidence in their own ability to speak.
When you were
to actually teach somebody,
you were a bouncer, right? Or I guess a doorman.
I was.
Yeah, so like we're all doormen.
I spent time. I used to own.
I think that's pretty much a natural progression for anybody who's big. You're pretty much going to be a bouncer.
Yeah, and then you become a trainer, I guess.
I used to own a martini nightclub back in Newfoundland back in what was it? 2006 or so. Yeah, no shit. Like a lot of people don't know that, but I had that for a while, and I eventually walked away from it because it was more of a headache than it was worth. But it was an interesting experience.
Owning a bar, no way.
Yeah, for real.
It teaches you a lot about life.
Owning a bar is a massive headache. I could not imagine. I could not imagine owning a bar.
Coolest thing about that, I had two of the guys from Collective Soul sitting in there having drinks with me one night after their concert, so that was interesting. But we digress.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a drink with Harvey Keitel in Manhattan.
Now that is cool. That is epically
Dude,
cool.
Now this is the funniest shit because it wasn't what I was kind of young, and I'm at Cats on Winter Garden Theater on Broadway because I'm a big fan of Broadway theater. Surprise! Another kind of a shocker right there.
That's a shocker.
Yeah, I mean I've seen numerous Broadway plays. I mean I've been to Cats, at Les Mis, Phantom, all kinds of shit. So now I'm sitting there. I'm there at my mom because my mom told me went to go see Cats. I actually have right now in my bedroom. I have a picture from 1994 right now hanging in the wall from Cats, where the entire cast and crew autographed it for me.
Love Cats.
I know, right? It's great.
Fuck yeah.
So here I am. I get up. The intermission starts. So I get up, and then I look right in front of me. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking Harvey Keitel. So he's there with his daughter, and he turns around, and I look at him, and I'm like, hey, Mr. Keitel, I'm a big fan of your work. And he's like, thank you very much. I mean, he's talked for a second. He's like, would you like to have a drink? And I was like, shit, yeah.
At the
So
Cats.
we went up at a fucking bar because they have a bars in the theaters in New York for intermission. We brought me a drink. We had a drink, and we talked about fucking baseball for like 10 minutes.
Incredible.
Talk about the Yankees and whatnot. Cause he's a big Yankees guy. Obviously lives in New York. So and then we sat down and never saw him again the rest of my life.
Well, that's how it is. Yeah.
I know. I was like, holy shit. But it was kind of cool. Like you had Dream of Collective Soul, and it was like, holy shit, here I am with across from somebody like this, and who's obviously a fantastic actor and a great artist in his own right. But you know what? They're all just regular guys.
Absolutely. Well, that's something I find whenever, when I met you in Kansas City in May, and I went down because Dean Somerset, who was cool enough to be our first guest, Dean's a good friend, and he was presenting. But then I go down to see Brett Contreras and people like Greg Knuckles and So Healy just happened to show up there. John Romanello, amongst a lot of these other people in the industry. And if people listening don't know some of these names, you should know these names. They're really, really good people to follow. And everybody was really down to earth. Alan Aragon was one of the most fun dudes ever. So, and
one thing about Alan is kind of cool is that he's really, really generous with his friends.
Absolutely.
I mean, he put me in his AARR recently for hypertrophy issue. My wife has written for him many times. and he's actually bought us a wedding present or a couple matching watches.
Wow, that's incredible.
He bought us a smaller clock watches for our wedding, which is kind of funny.
Okay,
just so fucking douchey, but whatever.
Okay, now that we've gone over all this shit, we're gonna get the pump, dump, and hump, man. We started with everyone's like, what the fuck is this shit? So give us a synopsis of the inspiration for pump, dump, and hump, and kind of just give our audience and your audience kind of just an overview of what the hell that is.
All right, well, pump, dump, and hump started actually at the fitness summit because we were driving home one day and we kind of laughed and I said, because I think somebody talked about starting a group and generating revenue from a group. So I was like, all right, well, that's a pretty cool idea. We should do that. And I said, why don't we start our own group and we just call it Pump and Dump because we're, about lifting. Because I'm I'm all about the lifting. And her specialty, Sarah, she's a registered dietitian. She's a master's in dietetics.
Okay.
And she works for a lab company called Vibrant America. And her specialty is the microbiome and autoimmune disorders. So every day her job is talking to patients and doctors about their test results and helping them formulate a decent diet plan to fix their issues. And when it comes to diet and nutrition, and I'm not saying this lightly because she's my wife, I'm saying this because I've been around this industry for a long time, there's very few people I would put against her as far as knowledge.
Yeah, I've been able to see in the group some of the stuff that she's talking about, and she's standing toe-to-toe again with guys like Alan Aragon and some of these other industry legends. So she's smart, to say the least.
And she's very, very smart with this stuff. And she actually would market herself in the industry that way, she would definitely do very well because obviously she's a fucking attractive blonde and it works. But so we decided to let's do pump and dump because the whole thing of lifting weights and taking shits.
I was gonna say this.
If you have a healthy digestive system, you're taking good shits. And she always said the key. She said you can tell how somebody is healthy by the way their shit looks. Which is essentially true.
It's a better intro than saying she's good at shitting because that's where I thought this was going. Because you're like, I like lifting.
But the issue is now pump and dump is also a stock market term.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm thinking, all right, we can't do that because now when people think we'll join the group and say, oh yeah, it's all about pumping and dumping, stocks, which obviously we're not doing. So all of a sudden she said, why don't we just add the word hump? So now we made it about lifting, digestive health and overall health and sexuality. So we openly discuss sexuality in the group, and openly, obviously, anybody can come in, transgender, gay, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, and they have a free and open space to discuss issues with sex, relationships, lifting, fitness, food, nutrition, anecdotal evidence, scientific evidence. So kind of like a free-for-all in a certain type of welcoming, inviting format where we don't want any drama. There's no putting someone down for having a certain issue. So I'm really tight with that. I don't really care about the numbers per se. Right now we have 660 people, I think, in the group. It's not particularly big, which is fine because it grows organically. As long as people act with respect, I'm cool with that.
So let's say someone...
If they start getting stupid, then you got to get out. Because we have people in there who talk about sensitive issues.
True.
We have people in there who talk about some girl talking about a relationship with her lesbian lover or something like that. And we don't need some fucking guy to be a 5-year-old child making shitty jokes.
Shitty, sorry. Dump.
Well, let's say someone's listening to this and this whole idea of participating in this actually sounds really appealing to them.
Yeah.
How does someone get into this group or actually put themselves in this environment where they can actually have access to these conversations?
Well, just basically search out Pump, Dump, and Hump, and you'll see our little logo, which is like a diamond-shaped logo. When you look at the little thing of it, it says Pump, Dump, and Hump in it. And just ask to join, and just we'll approve you.
Sure.
I kind of look at people first, and I look at their profile to make sure they kind of look like they belong in the group.
What does that person look like?
Here we
just
go.
Down with them.
Because usually, it's like I said, people are going to think it's a stock market thing. So you got a lot of people in there who are like Bitcoin investors.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this isn't for them. We're not. I'm not going to like this group. I don't approve them.
Okay.
But obviously, like a regular guy who's posting pictures of his cats. All right, well, maybe you might be cool with this.
So
maybe you learn something. But
good to go.
But some dude from fucking some other country who's posting pictures of money and Bitcoin articles. Well, maybe it's ain't for you.
Fair enough. So no soliciting Bitcoin.
And no Bitcoin, no stock market tips.
Other than that, you're good.
Articles about sex. Yeah, we're cool with that. dick pics, no dick pics, please. But you know,
I don't understand how that ever became a thing. It's like, what could possibly possess a man to think, I think this is going to work. I think this is going to get me laid. I'm going to send this random girl this.
To be fair, there's pump
well, because
and hump
men,
in the
because
name.
men are stupid, and we're extremely visual by nature. So when we see a girl's naked body, we're like, oh my gosh, she's so hot, I want that. And we automatically assume that women are the same way because we're fucking dumb. So we're thinking, oh yeah, well, this woman, obviously her being naked would turn me on. Maybe me seeing a picture of myself naked will turn her on.
Man, I've never thought that.
I've always thought, women, absolutely beautiful. Men, utilitarian in the way that we're put together. Not particularly visually appealing. So
yeah, I mean, I never knew of one girl in my entire life who said, you know what, thank that picture of your dick, now I kind of want to suck it. You know, I never heard that ever.
Which is fair. That's good advice.
Honestly.
So, already, let's say like my mom just downloaded the first podcast. So when she gets to this one, mom's gonna be like, "Oh boy."
Well,
I'm sorry, mom.
That's real.
That's okay. My mom's
I'm from the East Coast. I'm Philadelphia. I'm sorry. I'm very raw. Don't blame Andrew. Blame me.
She's good. She grew up in an Irish Catholic background. She's like a sweetheart.
She's like preach, Jay, preach.
If you're listening, hi mom, love you to death. So how do you now use PDH, Pub Dump Hub, to help teach and motivate people to be healthy and active? Like, how is that how do you use it as a vehicle?
Well, it's pretty much information spreading right now. We're not making any money off it, and I'm totally fine with that. We do pretty well enough in our own businesses. So right now, it's pretty much just information spreading, like spreading sexuality news. Like, a lot of times sexuality turns into relationships because, I mean, sex is pretty primal, but relationships are what make the world go around. I mean, anybody can go out and have sex. Not everybody can have a great relationship. So it turns into like talking about relationships, talking about different questions with supplements and digestive health, because it's kind of amazing when you're in the group, you see some people posting about their digestive issues and how common they actually are. And I mean, I have digestive issues. I'm gluten intolerant, and I didn't know that until a few months ago when I finally got tested for it. And people in there, especially in the fitness world, especially in our world, because we're so focused on the external, like having a bigger, stronger bench press, looking a certain way. We have to fit our macros in. So we'll fit our macros in with like rice checks and rice and Pop-Tarts. And we'll neglect stuff like vegetables and fruits and fermented foods. So a lot of people in our business have some really fucked up guts. And I can tell you that from firsthand. And Sarah can definitely tell you that because she works with people like that. So this group is really bringing out people's awareness to understand, like, look, nutrition is more than just counting and weighing your food. It's a holistic whole body experience. It's like taking in the micronutrients, the fibers, the prebiotics, all that stuff to make her, because if you're not healthy, it doesn't matter how good you look, it's going to go away.
We're probably just breaking the seal on understanding what goes on in the gut microbiome.
Definitely.
Flora, fauna, gut bacteria. People hear these things, but there's emerging understanding of these things, but yet there's still a lot that we really don't know. Right. And to what degree this stuff truly affects a lot of people. And it may be the answer that we need to unlock for people who, how many of us know people who they've tried everything, doctors, dietitians, what have you, changing up food, and there's just still issues. You hear things like IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, which is more or less just a catch-all for a bunch of symptoms that really otherwise aren't fully understood. You hear people using terms like leaky gut. Now, I'm of the more skeptical end of the spectrum where I don't tend to believe in a lot of this alternative type stuff that doesn't have a lot of sound backing behind it. So I'm of the impression that leaky gut is a bit more of a kind of a bullshit thing. But as we learn more, as more research appears on these topics, we may realize, okay, there's a lot more to some of these things than certainly I've been led to believe.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I could say Sarah would be the one to discuss this with rather than me because she's the expert in this. I only know what I know from her, which is probably more than the average person because of, being married to her. Yeah. It's kind of an osmosis thing. We have sex and I absorb knowledge. So it's a win-win. So
well, we should probably look at down the road getting her on because this is going to be one of the great challenges here. And while I don't believe in, and I've said this before, quotas, okay, I was going to say something political, but no, I'll leave that alone. But in our industry, men are overrepresented in a lot of what we see here.
Really are.
I was just at a conference 2 weeks ago, and every presenter was male. Now, it's a good group of people, and I know that particular group is not misogynistic or male dominated in its orientation. But yet, out of a group of 17 presenters, there wasn't a woman who, or 2 or 5 or 8, who would have been really great fits for that whole thing. And we saw in Kansas City when we were there, I mean, what was the percentage of men to women even being at that conference? What would you say? Do you remember?
I mean, I know we had a pretty fair amount of women presenters. I mean, but we're still more men than women.
But the attendees, though, like the attendees.
It's pretty much like, I would say 60-40.
Yeah,
I would say.
I felt it was even stronger male. There was a lot of dudes there. And then, not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I mean, like, there was one black guy in the entire fucking thing of 200. Like, so the industry, in terms of what gets out there, it can lack diversity.
Diversity. It really does.
And again, I'm not someone who believes, affirmative action, let's just take people from all sort of corners, because you start doing that, and I think you can invalidate the quality of the great people who earn it. But at the same time, I think there's really an opportunity to showcase great people from every corner, if that makes sense.
Well, I think for me, the way to make that kind of situation very good for everybody is to actually say, all right, well, we need to have 5 women presenters at this conference. We need to seek out 5 women who are good at what they do.
Yep.
Instead of just seeking out and say, you know what, people say, it makes some guy ask her saying, well, why can't I talk? Well, I'm sorry, you're good, but so is she. I mean, want to hear. Big deal. Deal with it, dude.
Yeah, deal with it, man. Fuck off. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to get back to this dump thing, because we're talking about digestive health, and then you made it sound like so scientific, which it is. Do you make it more? How do you make it more accessible to your audience? Because I guess the whole point is no one wants to talk about the science of it because it's fucking confusing. So how do you guys go about making people more aware, or kind of more aware?
Well, make it more aware of, like, basically posting articles about digestive health and talking about it, and then when Sarah chimes in with her comments and people ask questions, and basically employing them to start having a broad variety of food in their diet. Because first of all, you can fix a lot of issues with your digestion by just eating the right kind of food.
Yeah.
I mean, medicine, like people that go to the doctor for like SIBO or something like that, or maybe even like C. diff. Like there's a medication they'll give you at the doctor for a very strong antibiotic. I forget what it's called, for C. diff, that wipes out everything in your system. Yep. So now it wipes out your good bacteria too, as well as your bad bacteria. Now you got to rebuild that again. If you don't rebuild it, you catch C. diff again, or you get screwed up. My gluten intolerance came from antibiotics and also C. diff from being in the hospital, and I had my heart problem. So that's where mine came from. All of this shit messed my system so bad that it caused it. So we try to make people aware. It's like, look, if you're on an antibiotic, you have to have a probiotic with it later on at night. So that's a simple thing to do. Number one. Number two, eating your fermented foods, eating your vegetables. I mean, things that your parents had told you when you were a kid. Like, eat your vegetables. Well, there's a reason why. Maybe your parents didn't know that, but we do now. We know that. So it's trying to make people aware of what they're putting in their body and how they're actually. I do that with my coaching group too. When I had that time for some action group that I had going on. Where we, to me, they got to take a picture of their meals every day and send them put them in the app. So I see what they're eating, and every day I'm always like, all right, make sure you have your vegetables. Let's see what you're doing here. It's really well, really good. Some people, all right, you need to add some more veggies in this, and it's very, very simplistic shit, but it works wonders for people. They get less bloat because they're able to have more fiber that's moving out food and waste material, and they're rebuilding their gut biome. And your gut biome is tied into your brain. They discovered that as well. I mean, so it's pretty much making information accessible in a way, and we discuss it in a way that people can actually absorb it, and not just reading a research article that people can absorb.
Right.
Because people aren't like us.
No.
We have some people in this business have a weird thing, and they get in this little echo chamber of bullshit when they post his Facebook status saying, "Oh yeah, well this research says this." Dude, Joe Blow ain't gonna fucking read that.
They gonna read it, and they're not gonna read your 2-paragraph scientific response.
I barely read that shit. It's like our good friend Alfred in our third podcast. Like every time, it's like, oh well, the research. I'm like, Alfred, fuck off with the research for a second.
I think that people just want, and that's why I asked, because people just like, tell me the fucking answer. I don't want to read it. Yeah. So smart people, tell me what's going on. I think that's where, that's where I see the value in something like this, because it is. I wouldn't say it's new, but it is coming to the forefront a little more, and simple things that help out in like digestible formats is what people kind of gravitate towards.
Right. The cool thing right now, we live in amazing times for information. We really do. Right now, I mean, if I had what we had now when I was like starting out in this business, it would have been absolutely spectacular. I mean, you have people now who can go online, they order stuff like from James Krieger Research Review. They can go to Greg Knuckles Review, Mass. They have order the AARR. These are people who are taking research studies and breaking them down in layman's terms. So if you're a 20-year-old kid who's trying to start training people, or you're a fitness enthusiast trying to learn more, you subscribe to 2 or 3 journals a month that are like 15, 16, 17, 18 bucks a month, something like that. You're filled with information that could help you for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And they're taking research and dissecting it in a layman's term, which is priceless.
And how many
Absolutely
people?
Priceless.
How many people are out there? I mean, in our industry, we've been doing this a long time, and they just get stuck in their way of thinking, and they have not evolved. I mean, God, there are famous industry people who are doing this, but a lot of trainers they've learned a certain skill set. They don't look beyond it, and they're still perpetuating and peddling tons of completely pseudoscientific bullshit and inaccurate information. The competitive side of the fitness industry is blatant for that stuff, but they're not the only ones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care how you run your business. I don't care what you say for your business. Not that I mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way your business ain't going to affect me one bit, because you're running your business, you're doing your thing, you're kicking your ass. Dean is doing the same thing. Alan's doing the same thing. I'm not trying to speak for them. I'm not trying to get their attention. I'm not trying to get your attention. I'm trying to get the attention of people who need somebody to help them. Absolutely. And Facebook's a really rough platform, because you have your 5,000 friend limit, and then you would hope people would share your stuff and reach another audience. But nevertheless, you have to write it in a way we're trying to reach people who don't really understand what is going on and trying to help them understand. And we all get stuck in that rut. And that's what we do at Pumped Up and Hump, is take out the echo chamber and bring it to people who actually need it.
That's awesome.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we started this in general. Because the podcast, especially our listeners, we want to take smart people like you and Dean and Alfred and all the future people we have and put that echo chamber away and say, just tell them the real talk and make it fucking digestible. Because they just want to hear what I do, how do I do it, and how can I do it tomorrow or the next day or for the next week. In an easy format.
That's it. I mean, as I said one time before, people don't want to be like me and you. They don't want to be like me and you.
No.
I mean, I told my client the other day, I'm like, I said, you're no way in hell you want to be like me. I said, I'm 240 pounds. I'm 6'2". I said, I've worked this way for 20 years of my life to get this way. I said, I eat a certain way. I mean, this is my lifestyle. I said, this is an extreme thing. I said, for you want to be in shape. You want to look good. I said, you want to be healthy. I'm like, you can come to the gym 3 days a week for 45 minutes a day, 3 days a week. You can do cardio on your own a couple days a week. And you'd be fine. You can eat normally. You'd be fine. You know, people don't want to look like us, so we always assume that people want to look like us and be like us. Like, you must work out 5 days a week for an hour a day. No, dude.
But they don't have time, and like when they realize like what they need to do to get there, they're like, "Fuck that!" Like you did that. I'm like, "Yep, did that." Took a long time.
And that's also an advantage people like Mark Fisher have. Mark Fisher has an advantage not only because of his fucking incredible personality, but because he looks approachable.
Absolutely.
He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
People like me and you don't look approachable.
No, you're bald and big.
Well, actually,
and Andrew's big, redheaded, and wears a wife beater, and I'm just a little bit smaller.
Well, actually, I want to jump ahead of something because we're going to skip ahead to something I wanted to ask. But seeing as you brought that point up, then when I was in Kansas City, I mean, I noticed a couple of things, right? Like, I came down there and I literally knew personally 2 people in a room of 200 before I got there. And I met a lot of people, and now there's tons of friends there. But I could tell this big, jack, broad back dude who's sitting up in the front row with this beautiful blonde girl. People, were really aware of you. Like, I kept hearing the name, and I finally put 2 and 2 together. But there's a big presence there. But at the same time, you have an imposing presence. And yet, when I got to talk to you, I realized what a kind-hearted, humble guy who really almost didn't even realize just how much the room seemed to be aware of your presence. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have no idea about that. Honestly, I don't. I'm not even thinking that. I really have no idea. I mean, I just do what I do. I mean, I don't know. I can't even explain that. I have no words to even explain that. I just don't have no idea of my presence. I mean, I know I'm a big guy. I'm not stupid. I know people look at me in the real world and they're like, oh my God, this guy's big. And I'm like, yeah, but see some of my friends. They're pretty fucking big.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, even we were on a team together, and like the crowd that we surround ourselves with in athletics, like everyone thought I was big. And I was like, listen, man, I played football. I'm a small guy. Like, you don't even know.
Yeah.
When you go to powerlifting, everyone's big. So it just doesn't, I'm not fazed by it.
No, to me, it's like, whatever, I'm 240, I'm kind of average size, but the average person, we're not. You know, we're giants, and I understand that. But also, in the world that we inhabit, I look at it and I don't know, I'm just me. I just kind of come across, how you see me online is how I am in person. There's no front, there's no faking, I swear, I'm a little rough around the edges, but I have a big heart. When I treat people the way I want to be treated. You know, I try to make everybody feel like they're important, because I was at a point in my life where I didn't feel important. And I remember living in my car, being homeless. I remember stuff like that where I was like struggling, and I was like seriously in destitution a few times, where the mistakes that I made, and I totally own that. And I wasn't always a great person. I did some fucked up things in my life, and I paid prices for them. But I know what it's like to be that outsider. I know what it's like just to be treated like shit. And I don't ever want to be that guy that someone says, "Oh yeah, Jay's a fucking dick," you know. So to me, it's just be yourself, be normal, and don't have an ego, because you know what? Because our world is so small.
It'll slap you down pretty hard and pretty fast too.
Not just that, but it's like in the reality of it, it's kind of irrelevant, because we think that, and maybe among like 5,000 people know us, but I know powerlifters like Blaine Summer. I mean, Blaine works out at the gym I used to run in Oklahoma City. And Blaine is one of the strongest men in the world. In my opinion, probably the best lifter in the world right now.
Probably, yeah.
Or, you know, and you go outside that circle, no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And so it doesn't pay to have any kind of ego or pretension at all. I mean, it doesn't matter. Well, because there's somebody out there who's going to try to upset you. You know, try to like say, "Oh, I'm going to do something better than he does and make more money than him."
When you talk about your colorful past and then all this other shit involving, I guess, lifting and no one gives a shit, how did you establish yourself within the industry coming from where you came from? Because like right now, like you're creating quite a following. So how did you turn from that to this?
Time. Lots of time. Just pretty much just like patience, time, not even trying. I had no marketing plan. I had nothing. I just kind of just took it all by the seat of my pants. I mean, I'm not going to come at you with some magic trick saying you must have an email list. I don't even have any. I have an email list now, but it's kind of like not really big. It's just there.
Yeah. Something I got to work on now too soon. Like I get it, but
I do it, but it's just not something I'm not something I'm trying to cultivate like a freaking garden. I mean, when it happens, it happens. I take the approach of it's kind of like guerrilla marketing. Just fucking do it, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, and what I'm hearing is that like basically be yourself, because like again, you don't know, you don't even think about I'm big, I'm bald, I swear, I do all this other shit. You just be you, and then you're just trying to help people essentially.
Yeah, you try to treat people with respect. First of all, here's the thing. So here's some really good tips I'm probably sure you've heard before, and I'm sure you guys already know, but maybe coming from someone that's been around for a while, maybe it's a little different for people who don't know, is that having integrity and ethics, number one. I mean, that's
absolutely
huge. You do not fuck people over. If people pay you, provide a service. If you want to train people online, you're providing a service. You're getting in touch with them. You're contacting them. You're being open with communication, and you have ethics where you don't shit where you eat. If you're a trainer, you don't just fuck people you train.
I agree with that one. There's too much of that crap going on.
But yes, you don't cross any lines. You're a professional. This is your job. Mm-hmm. So trying to hook up with somebody you're training is akin to sexual harassment in a workplace. It's the same damn thing. It's just a different type of workplace. So it doesn't matter if you're in a gym or not. You're still your employee. Somebody that you're providing a service for. So you don't do that kind of stuff.
Can you have relationships?
Yeah, be consistent. That's it. Keep learning. Like consistently check up away at it. Ask for referrals. Ask for people. Treat people with respect. If you have 10 online clients, and 2 of them are like star lifters or star bodybuilders, don't give those 2 more attention than the other 8. Give everybody equal attention, because the 8 people, they're important too. Their goals are just as important as the bodybuilder's goals are. It's just a different type of goal, because the bodybuilder will give you more, industry attention. People that are a bodybuilder look and say, "Oh my God, this person's so ripped, he's great." But I'll tell you what, the people that are your average mom, the average dad, and the average people, they'll tell your friends about you.
Yeah.
I think they're the ones who will often be around a lot longer too. Excuse me.
Definitely. The bodybuilders and lifters come and go. I mean, that's just the way they are. They're flighty. They'll find a hot coach in a month, and we'll go with a new guy in a second. And then they'll post Instagram pictures of themselves, and they'll barely give you any credit. I've been there. I know what it's like. It doesn't faze me one bit because I expect it from them people. It's just how it is. Not all are like that, obviously, but a lot of them are very selfish. Now, the soccer mom, them people, the people who are like, you're building them a new lifestyle. My clients, they refer people to me all the time. They're company, you train so-and-so, what do you charge or something like that. They always tell people, Jay's great, Jay's this. So it's much better off. Treat people the way that you want to be treated.
I feel like that advice should be such intuitive and automatic way to go about things. And again, we all too often see that that's not how some of our industry conducts itself. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about is I just want to see more people understand this and more people bring a higher level of integrity and professionalism to this industry. Absolutely.
Exactly.
When a lot of people
the barrier to entry is so low. I mean, you can go online and get certification. Certifications, honestly, they mean nothing because you can just buy them for $500.
Yeah.
You can just taking a test is fucking simple. Even a CSCS is goddamn worthless. It really is.
Well, look at you and I, right? You and I do not have. I'm a CanFit Pro trainer. I bust my ass to put in the kind of effort that gives more than what a degree in kinesiology would have done, try to fill in the gaps. And you just said earlier that your certification, the initial one, was a very, very quick one to do, but yet it does provide access for some people who end up thriving in the industry to get in. But you're right, there's just too many people getting in far too quickly without a lot of skill.
Well, it's just education as a starting point. I guess you kind of determine your path after that. It was like teaching. I went to school for teaching. Fuck, I didn't learn anything until I started teaching. I was throw the whole education out the window because I didn't learn jack shit. I figured out.
Yeah, really. So that's what it comes down to. It's like all you're getting is a permission to do it.
Yeah.
So you're past what you're paying for, essentially, and then you're learning as a start until day one in the job because now you have to learn because coaching and theory are super things. Anybody can sit there and read a book and say, "Oh, well, I got an athlete. I want to do this, that, and the other thing with them." But get in front of the athlete and see what you can do.
You teach them how to hinge. You teach them how to squat. I know firsthand that there's so many people who can't do that because I get to see them squat. Quotation marks, and it's just you got to learn how to coach because then you're not effective. What are they paying you for?
Yeah, it's people need to understand that if the barrier entry is so low, this business attracts people who are basically selfish anyway. Because what we do is selfish. Treating yourself with this kind of intensity and workload and eating and the actual desire it takes to do this is a very selfish act by itself.
Completely.
So now you have people who are into themselves in a big way, that look a certain way, that have six-pack abs, that are shredded. They're like, dude, I look great. I love myself. Now put them in front of people and have to teach them. You're going to have some hiccups along the way. You're going to have people who don't really care about their progress, only care about their attention that the person gives them. You're going to have people that think they're God's gift or whatever, and they'll try to train some hot chick and hit on her, trying to get laid. And you see that happen all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame, but that's the nature of the fitness industry. And the only thing you can do is be an example and do the best you can, and people around you implore them to be better.
Well, and just to that point, so we've talked about your personal and your athletic and the fitness career and the fitness industry. How has the quality of life now been since you've kind of had this good relationship? You started Pump Dump Hump. You've kind of moved gyms. How is that versus what you've done earlier exploits? Because basically we're talking about all the shit that happens in the fitness industry. How does it feel now that you're doing things the way you're doing comparatively to what's kind of going on and what's happened in the past?
Well, honestly, I can say this without even the question of doubt. It's a happy time in my life. Honestly. I love Kansas City. I absolutely love it. It's a great town. You have a lot to do here. It's a big city feel and not a big city because it's growing, got a ton of culture and diversity. I'm meeting amazing people from all walks of life. And I work with a fantastic gym right now, a city gym in Kansas City, who has a very inclusive, open environment. And the owner herself is a very, very active in the local scene, both politically and professionally. And they walk the walk. They definitely don't just talk it, they do it. Yep. So their entire gym has that same culture about it where it doesn't matter if you're someone like me or a transgender male. You're completely welcome there. And in fact, they have programs there designed for transgender males to help them adjust, into the new bodies. So it's kind of cool. They walk the walk like that. And then, obviously the business online is growing. I'm having more and more clients, and I can actually handle sometimes. So I actually brought on people to help.
That's through Ashman Strength?
Yeah, Ashman Strength, my online business. So I brought on Sarah Economacos to be my nutritionist, and she's doing an awesome job. Everybody really likes what she's doing, and I have Julie Sworiak she's doing psychotherapy for people. She's a PhD professor. She's a PhD and a professor of psychology at the University of Minnesota.
Well, let's touch on that for a sec. So how do you combine all those three aspects into an online platform? Like, is it a full package deal, or is it like they pick one or the other?
Well, it can be a separate package for each. Like me and Sarah, you're separate together.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's nutrition and training. And then Julie is a whole different package entirely, because psychotherapy is obviously, a clinical package.
Yeah.
So now what the deal is here, the whole thing is you have training, nutrition, and mindset.
That's sweet.
So now, I know CHP does that with Alex Fiata.
Yeah.
And me and Alex are pretty good friends. So Alex knew I was doing this, so it wasn't like me copying him or anything like that. It was me we discussed it already. Because I wanted to do it for a while,
but you can.
Because me, it's like, because having fitness isn't really, having fitness isn't really about looking good; it's about feeling good too.
And you can borrow ideas from other places that are great ideas. I mean, a good example is you created this group, and one of the future guests we're going to have is Patrick Humphrey on here, and he's got Eat, Train, and Progress as a really cool group, which does a lot of similar things to what you're doing, but also there's definitely a unique dimension to yours. And Patrick's doing amazing things with that group, and that's a big ass group. And it's not like you're like, you're stole his idea.
We need to find diversity because Alex does his thing, and he's does all like the ultras and lifting and anyways, that appeals to one crowd, but maybe your crowd, maybe your thing appeals to a whole different section of people, and why not reach all of them? Because Alex ain't going to go. Alex isn't going after transgendered, the queer communities, and kind of combining all those either, and he's not doing dumps. No, and
he's
for me,
he's pretty special.
He ain't going after dumps.
Because I try I'm pretty walk the walk with how I believe in certain things, and I believe in inclusiveness. So I want people who are marginalized people in society, essentially gays, lesbians, transgender males, minorities and whatnot, people that historically are looked at as outsiders. I want them to feel welcome around me. I want them to say, hey, you know what? This group I feel comfortable in, because they're not looking at me like a freak or something like that. They're actually accepting me for who I am. And that's kind of important, because in order to really succeed in society, you have to have that kind of level of respect for each other.
Well, and one of the things is, Pump Dump Hump, it seems like a playground for you. Like, you're pretty passionate about that. How have you grown professionally, since starting this group? Because it is different from what you have done in the past.
Big difference. I pretty much let powerlifting go. I was training lifters for a while. I know Dean from a team we used to be on together and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I competed here and there in lifting. I mostly was a strongman, but I dabbled in powerlifting a little bit. I trained a few couple lifters now. A good friend of mine who actually lives 20 minutes away from me, Josiah O'Brien. I do all of his meat prep work for him, and he's a very talented lifter. So I still train a couple lifters, but I don't actively seek them out, because to me, I think I kind of grew up professionally in a way where I think it's more rewarding to train people who actually need it, not who want it.
When you kind of found your people per se.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how I wasn't really planning to. It just kind of worked out that way, and it feels more fulfilling for me. And they're enjoying the information, and it's creating a little community. People having fun with it, because you have bodybuilders in there who are into the sport really hardcore. Then you have people I went to high school with who barely even work out with. You have a couple girls in there I went to high school with. I knew since I was fucking 5 years old. And they're in the group, and they just basically walk around, or maybe do some yoga here and there. And they're learning it. They're posting stuff, and they're asking questions too. Well, so it's kind of cool seeing that. To me, it's like a microcosm of the world. Everybody can coexist in a nice space as long as we have a couple rules saying respect each other and do the right thing.
Yeah. And where does PDH or Pump Dump Hump go now? So you have the Facebook group. How are you planning on changing the fitness industry with this? If you had your own platform and you had unlimited reach, how are you growing this thing?
Well, our goal is to write a book, not an actual hard copy book. We want to write a book encompassing a basic training plan for fitness, and how to do it. And then Sarah will talk about,
dumping,
digestive health in a basic way to get your digestive health and digestive health, how to get it optimally. everyone I bring on like someone who's an expert in sexual health.
I was going to say, who's talking about
like,
humping?
See, I've got the cover for you right now. You use 3 emojis. It's the weightlifting emoji, it's the little smiling shit emoticon, and then it's the that eggplant.
Not a dick pic.
Yeah, there is your cover right there.
And the water spritzing one, too.
Yeah,
you got to have that eggplant and water.
Absolutely. No, actually, I think that's an unbelievable idea. I think that's so cool because it. And again, what I love about the group is it brings together a whole bunch of things that aren't necessarily. They all actually have a lot of relationship with each other, but yet people don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about, particularly the dump and hump parts, right?
For me, it's like in this world,
we are inundated with
this world is very sexual anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a very sexual world. I mean, there's girls. I mean, if you look on Instagram, there's girls who cross over in like new modeling or like porn. I mean, it's kind of like it's the way it is. Fitness world and sex world are tightly mapped together. It's how it is. So we're trying to like basically not just dance around it. We're pretty much saying, "Fuck it, we're in it."
Good.
Sex is a huge part of life. I mean, a healthy sex life can go a long way to making you feel a lot better about yourself, a lot healthier.
This is actually perfect for something that I definitely wanted to get you going on. Because now in the mainstream, we have had so much recently going on about, Harvey Weinstein and just this prevalence of sexual abuse. Obviously, Hollywood is basically under this microscope right now. And we have this hashtag Me Too thing trending on social media. Like, we have a massive cultural problem on our hands. Let's take that into the fitness industry. Like, what within the fitness industry actually contributes to this problem? And that's a 2-part. How can we as industry professionals do more to combat some of these cultural problems and simply be better?
Well, I think a lot of times you see popular men figures in the fitness world. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to shame anybody like that. That's not what I'm going to do. But you see it, and I'm sure you have. I know Dean has. Where men will constantly post stuff like, "Women, you need to respect yourself. Stop posting pictures like that." And maybe guys stop sending you pictures the way you do. And it's like they basically put the blame in the woman by saying you can't be proud of your sexuality in your body because you have to hide it. Because if you don't hide it, I can't control myself. So it's like, it's fucked up. It's like you're gonna slut shame a girl for posting a picture of herself in a bikini because you want to fucking send her a dick pic. You're pretty much a piece of shit. In my opinion, you do that. So, and you have to call out that shit when you see it happening. I think people need to sit there and say, the problem with calling it out online is that their fucking echo chamber of circle jerkers will jump all over you like a bunch of morons. Because how people are like, "Oh yeah, well you're an idiot, you're a jerk," or other words like that. Or they'll call you like derogatory names like fag or something like that. Which I've seen that happen more than once. And you look at it from afar, and you're like, "God, this is ridiculous."
Well, you got a culture that's protecting itself and that ingrained behavior.
It's a super alpha male wannabe jock culture, which I can't fucking stand. It's that fake goddamn posturing, like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big tough man, and I'm gonna tell women you need to respect yourselves." And women do it too. I see a lot of women post that stuff. And that's stuff that needs to be called out. It's saying, that's not cool. They're telling somebody how they should, like Jennifer Lawrence is the big one that people like to harp on because she had a picture of herself nude that she released, and then she said about being sexually harassed by a couple of directors. And you read comments and stuff from people in articles and saying that, "Oh, well, yeah, she posted pictures of herself nude, but now she's being sexually harassed. What a hypocrite."
Yeah,
the correlation doesn't really
not
equate.
Right. Yeah, it's not right to say things like that.
No, because it's her choice to post a picture of herself if she wants to. That's her choice. It's not her choice if somebody grab her ass.
I mean, we had a while back, there was a porn star, what's her name, Christy Mack? Yeah, remember Christy Mack? And
oh my god, yeah. When she got beat up,
the shit up by War Machine. Now he's in jail for the rest of his life, and thank God, the guy's a piece of garbage. But no, like just because you're in that industry does not mean that that's an invitation for sexual violence or assault or any of these sort of things. And I think, there are probably way too many men out there that think that a lot of behaviors, a lot of stuff, is an invitation to then behave in a certain way. These women are inviting it, and that thinking needs to be crushed and stamped out.
That's that big time. The problem is,
oh, go ahead, brother. Still there?
There's no shortage of wolf who want to eat the sheep.
Yeah.
That's how it is. It's always going to be that way. Human nature is going to be that way. So what we can do is we can stamp it out one by one, much as we can. You see stuff like that, you call it out. I mean, when we think we need to check ourselves a little bit. When we find ourselves acting a certain way or saying something else, think twice. Think before you say it. Because I know in my past, I probably said shit like that to women before. I'm sure I have. I'm sure every guy here has said something like that.
Doubt we've been perfect. As strongly as we feel about this whole thing, I doubt we've all been perfect in every.
No, every one of us has made mistakes, but you move forward, you make amends for it, you basically don't do it again, and you learn from it, and you move on. So the problem is, some guys never actually learn, and they need to learn. It's like as fathers, teach your young sons how to treat women. And then when they come home, you don't sit there and praise them for having conquest. Another thing too is like girls, they have too many partners. You're a slut. A guy has a lot of girls. He's like the man.
Actually,
it's just fucked up.
I saw this meme. Someone just shared it, and it's like I'm a little hypersensitive to some of this shit lately. And someone posted the meme. It's like the shitty lock, many keys. I can't remember what the hell it was, and it was basically that analogy. And someone posted it just in humor, and I was like, really? Like now? Like, fuck. Come on, guys. Like,
well, just it goes to the whole use your brain. Like, Jesus.
No, people. The online world has made people devoid of empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
Because it turns into a meme culture, and it turns into like, how much can we offend you culture? And then they get upset. Like, then they get surprised. Oh, you're offended? You're a pussy. No, we're not, because you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you're an asshole. I'm not I'm sort of offended, but I'm not going to cry about it. Like, you're just a dick. Like,
I know. It's like if you really think that offending people or trying to offend them is funny, and you're kind of a piece of shit. And I've like lost friends in real life over that shit. And I won't, because people, I'm like, dude, I want nothing to do with you. It's how you're going to act online. I don't want anything to do with you in person. Because there's no room in my life for people who are intentionally trying to offend people online. They had to laugh. It's like, be normal. It's like, if you have to get a ride to somebody, it's a problem with you.
But I think that, like, you say be normal, but like that's where you have to question certain things, and that's probably why you don't have some certain friends, is because is that their normal? Like, maybe that is
normal. They need to go to therapy then.
Right. But like I would say that some people do. Like, I think that is some people's normal, and online just gives them a platform to do it, and this whole meme culture just gives them another tool to be, well, dickheads. But
yeah, but especially with sexual harassment. I mean, people, when you see it, call it out. And like, I've called it out. And like, I used to have a helper, an electrician. We were working in a scaffolding in New York City outside, and we're hanging up temporary lighting. And he was a young kid, like 20 years old. And obviously in New York, women are everywhere, and they look good. They look really good in New York. It's how it is. It's a wealthy city. So they're walking by the ladders, and it's just the way it goes. A couple of them walk by to one, and he's like, "Yo, baby, what's up, man? What's your number?" Like, acting like that, like really coming along pretty strong. So I said to him, like, "Yo, we don't do that shit, dude." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Don't fucking talk to her like that around me." I said, I don't play with that shit." He's like, "Well, I want to talk to her." I'm like, "That's not going to fucking work, dude."
But that actually, the dick pic has a better chance of working than that bullshit. So
I'm like, I said, "Where do you ever find that working at?" He's like, "Well, I come from, it works." So I'm like, "Well, this ain't fucking Bed-Stuy." This is Manhattan, dude. It's not the hood.
Man, you need money.
And if that woman turned around and be like, "Hey, like, the kid wouldn't know what to do with himself. He wouldn't know."
That's the problem. No decent person is going to say, "Oh, this guy just catcalled me. Let me turn around and talk to him." I'm like, it's just how it is. I mean, I can't comprehend that line of thinking. I never catcalled women in my life.
I can't comprehend it either. Like, I don't get it. And maybe that's just because we're normal-ish, but like, it just doesn't make any sense. They're like, I don't know. Are they raised like that? Like,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different that way, but I think that's the thing I'm talking about. Like, this guy, he's a young dude, and because of his upbringing, and who knows, I know he didn't have a dad in his house. We discussed his upbringing with that before. He actually was a pretty good kid, a nice kid. He just had a rough childhood, and he didn't have anybody probably teaching him how to stuff. And if he did, I don't know if we would have learned it because of the environment that he's in. He's in a projects, and he's from the projects. And it's definitely a tougher upbringing than it is for a suburban person. So his upbringing and his ingrained culture from that upbringing didn't comprehend it in his head. It's like, this is not cool to say to women. So you have this issue that way. That's why I'm saying it's important for people to teach kids when they're young. It's like, don't talk to girls that way. It's not acceptable. If you want to talk to somebody, you go up and say, "Hi, how you doing?" You say, be a regular, decent human being. And if you can't do that, then you have to find out how. Because then they feel entitled. Well, I just got done saying hi to her. Why didn't she talk to me back? Because she didn't want to. So leave her alone.
I don't see why some men can't understand that it is really, truly that simple.
Well, and it gets worse online. I guess we kind of tie this into the fitness industry, but it doesn't. It almost gets exponentially worse when you put in Instagram and Facebook, and I guess the accessibility of seeing these people. Like, yeah, you go to New York, women are beautiful, but like you go online, you can find a lot of beautiful people.
And it's amazing what people will say online to another human being on Facebook, in a forum on Instagram, that they would never say to another person to their face. And we've probably all been guilty of that one too. I mean, like, I really fight with myself not to get caught up in internet arguments and dumb shit that I read. And I'll write a lot of stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to click send on that one. Forget it. And I think that's cathartic. But at the same time, yeah, we have this problem where you'll actually literally say something to another person. That's another human being on the other end of this. Now, sometimes it's so fucking stupid that they really have it. They're inviting it. Yeah. There's one question I always ask every guest, because I'm really passionate about reading. I consume books at a pretty aggressive rate, what most people consider. I'm not quite Mark Fisher, man. That guy goes through books. But I was curious if there's anything great you're reading now, or if there's a great book that you've read in the past that really made a difference for you that you'd want to share with anyone listening.
Well, actually, right now, I'm actually looking to get a couple new books, because I've been mostly reading nutrition manuals about, I'm studying for the precision nutrition certification again. So I'm just reading a lot of that. So I've been doing listening to a lot of podcasts while I'm driving. And one I listen to right now is called S-Town. And it's on iTunes and whatnot. And it's kind of a wild story about this guy in Alabama. And it's actually a true story, where a guy in Alabama suspects that there was a murder that was unsolved. So he calls up this journalist dude, and the whole podcast goes into this whole adventure. And I'm not going to give it away at all, because it's pretty interesting what happens. I'm listening to that. But my favorite book of all time is probably kind of cliche, and not for the reason that some people think it is. But I've read this book probably like 15 times, 48 Laws of Power.
Okay, I've heard of that. I haven't read it.
It's a really good book. The history in the book is incredible. Robert Greene did a great job. And it's basically like a history book written around 48 laws of how to get and attain power. Now, I don't read the book to try to get and attain power. I read the book because it's interesting historical context for me of what to look for from people who are shitheads.
Oh, fuck.
Well, you could lump the book Robert Cialdini's...
Robert Greene.
Yeah, but there's another book, Robert Cialdini's Influence, which is largely considered to be one of the best sales books out there. And I read this book recently, and funny enough, I was in the process of buying a vehicle, and sure enough, I mean, there was some stuff that the dealership did that was quite literally spelled out in the book as tactics and trickery. And I was really fucking pissed off with what they pulled. In the end, it all worked out, and I got the deal I wanted. But yeah, you're right. These kind of books can be really, really valuable in identifying when people use influence and power and manipulation, to potentially hurt others.
Yeah. It's like people need to be aware that, like I said before a couple times in the past, that the world's a violent place, the world's a dangerous place, and you can pretend it's not. You can try to be as peaceful as you want to be, but people are really inherently violent. They try to come out to get you, and even if they're not going to do it blatantly, they want to win. People want to win, so they'll do whatever they can to win. So if it means taking advantage of you and using you, so be it. So people need to be aware of what's around them, and maybe not learn this stuff for the sake of doing it themselves, but learn what to look for from somebody else. So if somebody in your life is acting a certain way, you can kind of trigger this out in your head and figure, all right, well, this person is doing this. I read this in a book. Now I'm aware of this and how I should react to it. Because experience goes a long way. I'm very street smart from where I grew up. I mean, incredibly street smart. But, you can't learn it all, so you have to read books.
That's a very good point. So we're coming in on an hour. You're probably sitting on your phone. Where can our listeners find you on social media? So one, how do they join Pump, Dump, and Hump? And what's the best way to reach you?
Pump, Dump, and Hump is going to be, you can go to pumpdumphump.com. Our website is up, but we haven't really done much with it yet. It could be Sarah is finishing up her second master's degree. She's done about a month. Look at that. Yeah, she has a master's in dietetics, and now she's going to be an MBA as well.
Oh, shit. Man, you married up. Jeez.
Yeah, well, she definitely has quite a brain on her. She's a very smart woman.
Facebook is Facebook the best way right now?
Yes, Facebook.com, period, Ashman.
Okay.
It's pretty simple, or ashmanstrength.com. One of the two, doesn't matter. Anyone wants to read about my stuff, Ashman Strength's the best way to go.
Great.
And through there, you can find my Facebook page link and, learn a little about me, what we offer, what we do, and, read some of my wonderfully concise, short blog posts. I tend not to be too wordy in them, but,
Well, you're more wordy in your Facebook posts.
Yeah, I should start blogging more than I do Facebook, honestly.
But you get a lot of attention, though. That's good. Like, people listen to you.
I don't know why. I'm just a fucking regular dude. I mean, honestly, that sounds kind of shitty to say that, but it's like, it's not. I mean, I don't know. I just think, I don't.
You just
I worry about people like, no, people notice you. And I'm like, well, I don't really notice that. That's something I actively look for. I mean, yeah, I want to make money and be noticed, but I don't really expect people to look at me and say, wow, this guy, Jay, he's a cool dude. And it's like, I just act like I act.
Well, that's probably it. It's authentic, right? Whereas a lot of people, especially with, again, Instagram, a lot of it's very, very manufactured. A lot of it's very crafted. And ultimately, you find out the person is not what the image portrays.
And for our listeners and Jay's listeners, which I'm sure know Jay's exactly that. I would say you're fairly authentic. You're not filtered. And I don't say you don't care because you care, but you say what's on your mind.
Right.
Which is a good quality.
Which is a good quality for people who want to know what's actually up, especially on topics of fitness and the industry, which you let people know very diligently.
Yeah, I kind of keep it I keep things pretty simplistic in a complex way, where I'm not as simple as like Dan John, who's like push, pull, carry. Dan is like the ultimate in simplicity. Me, I understand that things are a little more complex for some people, but things don't have to be as complex as some people may have to be. Like I can't comprehend. Like I read some books, and like old school strength and conditioning manuals from like your Russian authors and whatnot. And I read this stuff and I'm looking at like Brokoshansky and everything like that, and I'm going through these programs and their suggestions. It makes sense to me. Well, how can you make information available for somebody else? And honestly, the average person doesn't need all that information anyway. They don't need to understand like, well, your power velocity, your depth jump this, your speed of this. I'm like, I just want to get in better shape, be stronger. So if you're giving somebody a program, it's like kind of make it as simple as you possibly can to get results. And I think a lot of people in the industry that are really, really smart, that are academics, try to impress you with their knowledge rather than impress you with how they can make the knowledge accessible to you.
Yeah. And I would say that's what Pump Dump Pump is going to be for you going forward in terms of that avenue.
That's awesome. Well, Jay, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us. Thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I wish you all the best of luck in future, and I really hope people actually take us seriously. Go search Pump, Dump, and Hump, join it, listen in, participate, to get in the conversation. You'd be surprised, I think, how valuable that experience could be for you, especially if you're looking for something like that. And, show Jay some love, so follow him, and tune in next week when we release another podcast. And also, if you really enjoyed this, please like it, like our Facebook page, share it, just push this around so that way we can reach more people, because it helps us, because we're not making any money off this thing. We're trying to do this because we love it. We want to show you guys and introduce you, the listeners, these great people that we have access to, like Jay here. So thanks again, my friend. Have an awesome day.
Thank you very much.